How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Whiskey. We are back in the beautiful setting. We got a great background behind us. Nate and I are back together. He moved about an hour and a half away from me, so we made the drive up today. And we're hoping to film a good bit more of these videos for you guys. But overall, just wanted to thank all of you for the support. Thank our Patreon members, and thank you to Whiskey Raiders for hiring me now. We're a part of Whiskey Raiders, a much bigger team, to get to do this full time for you guys now. So the video we have for you today is the top 5 whiskeys that I've tasted over the last year. Yes, I said whiskeys because there are some non-bourbon, a couple of non-bourbons on here that are just phenomenal, that really blew me away. And whenever I thought of this top 5 list, it was really tough. I wanted to make sure that I wanted to pick different distilleries. All 5 come from different distilleries, and I didn't want 2 from the same, 2 or more from the same. So I did 1 each from a couple of different distilleries. These are bourbons and whiskeys that I reach for on the daily, almost all the time, as much as I can, because these bottles, some of these are very special and I can't find them all the time. However, I really enjoy these. I love sharing these with friends. Every single one of my friends have tried all of these, really love them themselves. And maybe some of you have tasted these as well. But due to the top 5, I will buy these all the time. Every time that I see them, I really trust these whiskeys and bourbons. And yeah, let's get right into it. So I'm gonna do these in order, actually. I'm gonna go from 5 all the way to number 1. And in number 5, we have this. Now this is Art of the Spirits. This is a Tokai finish coming from Security Discount Liquors. Now, James is the store owner, a great friend of mine. Whenever he picked this barrel, I was able to taste this whenever he got his bottle sample in, and the Tokai was just phenomenal. He also, while he was about to leave the distillery, and they said, hey, you have to taste this one more barrel. You have to taste one more. And he was able to taste this Madeira finished rye. Now that was also special. I have 2 bottles of that at home. I've gone through 2 of these already. They are literally some of the best whiskey I've ever had. And yes, this is also a cigar blend. Now, cigar blends are very unique in that whenever they do a really great finish, they can just come through so strong, give you awesome flavor profiles. This comes in at 108 proof, and I don't have this one poured up in my glass. I do have one of these in my glass, and we'll talk about, but the nose on this is just so soft. It's so inviting. You get a lot of fruit forward notes, and that's coming from that Tokai, which is a Hungarian wine. So these are finished in those wine barrels. They pair really nicely with a cigar. That's why, hence cigar blend. But Art of the Spirits really has been nailing it with their cigar blends, especially their Tokai as well. And it's a local Colorado Springs distillery. And that was one, you know, where I was like, man, I don't want it to seem super biased or anything, because I'm not paid to tell you how good these whiskeys are. It's just truly, I want people to know. And I know that there is an online resource that you can buy these whiskeys on. I'll link that in the description. I don't have the link off the top of my head, but I do know that there's a website where you can buy bottles from this specific brand. Now, you won't be able to buy this one because this was at Security Discount Liquors in Colorado, but my goodness, was this one phenomenal. So it had to make my top 5 on the list. All right, y'all, coming in at number 4 is gonna be a whiskey, not a bourbon, but if you're a bourbon lover, if you're a bourbon drinker like I am, even a rye drinker, this is one that you must try. They are readily available on a good bit of websites. They're soon coming to more and more states. I know they just branched out to Texas, but this one kind of hits home for me. It's really close to home. So this one's coming in at number 4. Again, I started with 5, 4. We're gonna go all the way to 1. It doesn't mean that these are bad. Again, these are the top 5 I've tasted over the past year, and I've tasted well over a couple hundred, at least 200 whiskeys, and these just really impressed the hell out of me. So coming in at number 4 is gonna be, and these are specific, this one is the Security Discount Liquor. This is the JT Melic Family Reserve. Now this is 100% rice whiskey. I've had a couple of their store picks this year that absolutely blew me away, but this was just special. Mia from JT Melic, she's the daughter of the founder of the company, and she picked this barrel herself. It is just outstanding. It really, really is. Comes in at 126.4 proof, and this is bottle 151. I love the labeling on JT Melic, and a little backstory if you didn't know about them. They're actually, if you were to drive through Louisiana and pass their distillery, you might miss it because nowhere does it really say JT Melic. It just says Fruge Aquaforms. And what they are is, at heart, they're farmers. So they have rice fields, they do crawfish when it's crawfish season. And you know, Mike, he just really was a genius when it came down to it. He said, we need to make a spirit out of our rice, because at the time, I believe rice prices, like to buy rice, was down. So he had the idea, let's create a spirit out of this and hopefully it'll be good. And I'm so glad that he made that decision, because they are some of the most impressive stuff that I've had, especially these blue labels. That's gonna be their cash strength. And I know pretty soon they're coming out with a small batch, but it's gonna be a higher proof, coming in at 118 proof. That's gonna be a standard. But anytime you see these blue labels, go ahead and pull the trigger. I know they're on a good bit of websites, such as Bourbon Outfitter has them a lot of the time. They might even have some now by the time this video is out. Just go ahead and check it out for yourself. But number 4, this had to make the list. I just absolutely love it so much. As you can tell, I'm very sad. I'm down to the last little bit, and I probably won't be able to find another, because this is their once a year family reserve. Now, moving on to number 3, this shocked me so much, because this is currently in my glass. It comes out of distillery. A lot of you know, Buffalo Trace Distillery. Now, what bottle is it? It is the Weller 12 release of 2023. I am notoriously not a Weller 12 fan, just because I think a lot of the times it's just a little too much oak forward. The proof is 90 proof. You know, it's just kind of hit or miss. But I was able to do. We were in a store, actually filming a store video, and the store owner, it was also James, he said, hey, I have a sample. He had a little sample bottle, and he said, let's do a little blind. And we did, and it was all weeded. And I immediately was like, holy, what is this? We all, Nate behind the camera, Joe was with us, and Jaron. We were just like, what is this? It smells special. Like on the nose is just so much cherry, a lot of great like candied apple and some brown sugar notes on it. It was gorgeous. Not like a Weller 12 that I smelled before, so I never would have guessed it. And after we got done tasting, we all said that this was easily the number 1, but we had no clue what it was. And turns out that it was a Weller 12, and I could not believe it. And I said, I need to try to get my hands on this as soon as I can, because I was blown away by what that was. And sure enough, I was able to find one at MSRP too, which I was really happy about. It's just as good as I remembered. For a 90 proof whiskey, this is the best product that came out of Buffalo Trace this year. Now, I'm gonna throw in an honorary mention, because I was able to attain a George T. Stagg this year, but again, I didn't wanna have 2 from the same distillery, and I was able to taste a George T. Stagg from 2015. That was still to this day the most special and the best tasting bourbon I've ever had in my life. 2023 was a close second. But when it comes down to it, what really impressed me and what I love drinking so much, I wish I could drink George T. Stagg every day. I wish I could drink this every day, but this just nails it, because it's totally off profile from the typical Weller 12, and it is fantastic and delicious if you can find it for the price. And if you were able to taste this 2023, you know what I'm talking about. Moving on to the top 2, this was a very tough decision for me, because they are both so good, and they both came out last year in the same year. And what's exciting though is that we are going to get to see a different rendition of these 2 bottles. So we're going to see something different in 2024 for both of these brands, but it was just tough for me because they were both so unique, stood out, and I love both equally. But there has to be a number 1 and there has to be a number 2. So coming in at number 2 is going to be this Penelope American Light Whiskey, and this is aged 15 years, coming in at 128 proof. Now, I am a huge Penelope fan as a whole. Everything that Penelope's put out, I really can't say I've disliked anything. Their cash strength bourbon we just saw, or is a cash strength whiskey we just saw, and I think it was priced at $50, and it's 115 proof. Some of the best stuff you can get for that price. I love all their special releases. Their Ambarana finish, their Valencia finish is great, their Tokai finish is great, but this one was just special. $100 for a 15-year-old whiskey at 128 proof. Think about that for a second. That is a great price for what you're getting. The flavor notes I get off of this is almost like I'm drinking a bourbon cream. Like Buffalo Trace's bourbon cream is the one that I always think about. It's so sweet. It's packed with a lot of vanilla, and that's exactly what this is. You don't get a whole lot of that oak because this isn't charred. American Light Whiskey, this bottle in particular, I know some brands do it differently, but they don't char their barrels. It's a fresh, new American oak. It's just phenomenal whiskey, and one of the best values for the price point. This is the number 1 is going to be the most expensive MSRP on this list, That's why it was kind of tough to decide between the two, but my goodness is the number one special, and we'll get into that right now. And number one for me on the list was Maker's Mark Cellar Age. This is the first year that Maker's Mark came out with their Cellar Age, and it is a cherry bomb. Cherry all day long, but not medicinal cherry, a candied fruit. You get a lot of good milk chocolate notes. A lot of times on bourbon or whiskey, I'll get a dark chocolate note. On this, it's almost a milk chocolate note. The finish will linger with you. If you take a sip of this or have a glass of this, it's gonna last for 30 minutes to an hour, and you're gonna keep thinking about it and wanna go back to it. I only got this a couple weeks ago, and it's pretty far gone. I've been sharing with friends, a lot of people that haven't tasted this yet, because it's just that special. And if you've tasted this, you know. If you haven't, please try to find a bar or maybe a buddy that has a bottle and you can get a taste of it yourself. But the thing about the Cellar Age, it is $150 MSRP, but out of all these, it is definitely, all these are worth it. But this is a $150 bottle MSRP. I'm gonna pay it all day long, and I can't wait to see what they do with it this year. It's definitely the coolest looking Maker's bottle in my opinion. It has a nice little texture to it, a pretty little label, and it almost looks like, if you could tell, that Sharpie marker, but it's actually not a real signature. They just did a really good job with packaging as a whole, and I was very, very pleased with this bottle. I hope to find more, and believe it or not, out of all these, they're all somewhat accessible in a way. This is still at Security Liquors. These still sell online, maybe not the Family Reserve pick, but the blue labels as a whole. Weller 12, I found this year was a little bit more accessible than the recent years when it comes to Weller 12, because I know three of my buddies, were all able to get one within like a couple weeks. Nate's the only one that didn't, and I know he's pretty bummed about that. American Light Whiskey sat on shelves. It's now fine. I haven't seen one, and I don't have a backup for it, unfortunately. It makes me very sad. But this sat on shelves, so I was able to, if I wanted to, buy 5 of them, and I wish I did. And Maker's Cellar Age this year, when it first came out, it wasn't the easiest to find, but I did see a lot more people posting about these versus even a Stag Junior. This was a little easier to find than a Stag Junior. And I think this is definitely better than a Stag Junior. It stands out. And the age statement on this, I'm pretty sure, let's see. So 13% of this is 11 years old and 87% is a 12-year-old. So they blended those two together. They did a wonderful job. But what is your top 5? If you had to pick a top 5, let me know. What do you think about this list? Am I too far crazy off? Again, this is my opinion. So everybody's palate is different, and that's what I love about bourbon and whiskey. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to do more of these. I can't wait for this year's releases to come out so we can do more of those. And thank you so much again for just supporting the channel at all times. Thank you to our Patreon members, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.